Okay, welcome to Spark of Life as we discuss grief and how to deal with loss. And of course, Ren Bester, welcome. Ren is from where?
I am from Johannesburg, South Africa. I'm concerned that you don't know that.
No way. You're not from South Africa, are you? Is that in the
Yeah,
Southern Hemisphere? I think that's Southern. Southern.
it's southern, which is apt because I wish I was from the South in the US.
Yeah.
I'm a little further south. I have the wrong accent.
Yes. Well, I wish I had your accent. I mean, that would be great. But anyway, for those of you, I'm Dave Matthews, and this is Ren Bester, and we're starting this discussion about grief and from Spark of Life and what we have learned at Spark of Life. Our goal is to give hope to people who are struggling with any kind of loss. And as we struggle with loss, I mean, so many questions come in mind, right? And you and your wife Adele attended a Spark of Life retreat a few years ago. What was that experience like for you?
Yeah, it was incredible for us. It was life changing, and I think I shared this in the last time we recorded, but
Yeah.
it was massively significant for Adele because there were obvious death losses that she'd experienced and some other losses. And I came in thinking, well, I'm just going to support my wife. I don't think,
Yeah.
I had the usual losses, so to speak. My grandparents had passed away and that kind of thing. But turns out that, sure, just so many things can be losses. I was a drug addict for 23 years, and I had multiple affairs over the course of our marriage, and the addiction had stolen so much of my life. So there were so many losses there that I didn't realize I had, A, and B, didn't think I had the right to
Ooh.
call losses or trauma or and to have to deal with those things. So it was life changing for us. It really freeing, and being able to move forward and live forward with hope and with peace. It was a springboard for us, really. It really springboarded us, launched us into our future, that we were able to do what we do today.
Wow. Wow. Those are really encouraging words to those people who are struggling with loss, because hope is everything. And we're Christians who do this. We don't push our Christianity on anybody, but hope is such a big deal in the Christian world. I don't know how people live without hope, and so our goal is to give hope and to walk beside people. We don't claim to know all the answers, but we do know the answer is hope. Would you agree with that? I have to have
Uh,
hope.
I agree with that 100%. And I'll speak from my perspective that uh, the phrase that floated around my mind the most for the majority of my life was this: what's the point?
What's the point?
What's the point?
Oh,
And off the back of our reconciliation and our marriage, and then doing the Spark of Life retreat, that phrase disappeared. It's incredible. And that's
well,
that's the point, right?
yeah,
There's hope. There is a point, even
yeah,
if it's messy, even if there are losses, even if it's difficult. We don't float around on clouds, singing love songs all day because life
yeah.
is amazing all the time. It's hard, right? Sometimes it's
Hard.
hard, but there's hope in the hard and there's purpose in the pain. That for me, and I know that's it's a tough thing when we speak about grief, right? Like
Yeah.
sometimes
Mhm.
it's not a hill we're going to die on to say there's purpose in that pain, but when there is a future and hope and things to live for in spite of, like I, like I don't have to be a victim of A, the things that I've done, or B, the things that have happened to me that were outside of my control, like losses, right? Like I
Wow.
can I can live with them, but I can still live a significant life
Mm.
with purpose and with hope and actually want to wake up in the morning.
Well, and that's everything. We call it living forward. I think you've mentioned that. And in our work, and this happened because we had a man come to a retreat who had given up hope. And our byline, or what do you call it? The tagline at Spark of Life is
Mm,
living forward.
yeah,
And I don't even know how we came up with that, but that is such a powerful statement, those two words. And
so
it's
good.
we had a retreat where a man came and he had lost two children over a period of 20 years, and he had a drinking problem, We didn't know it at the time, but we knew it later. And and of course, people drink or use drugs or some other kind of behaviors that give them temporary relief. And what they're doing is hiding their pain, right, and shame.
Yeah.
And his
Yeah.
pain was so great. And he got up at the retreat the last day and said, for 20 years, I've been existing forward, and I think it's time to live forward. He made a conscious decision. He's going to get up in the morning, but he had to have a reason to give up. I mean, to get up. And he had, and we call it, or sometimes I call it, from give up to get up. We have give up in our spirits because we're in such pain. But there comes a time when maybe I need to make a decision to get up and to do something about my direction of my life. Because one thing we teach at Spark that we've learned is taking ownership of your recovery. Did that resonate with you about not just the grief recovery, but the addiction recovery and it's called life's mess recovery, right? That's what it's called.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I'd heard that a million times in the 23 years that I was an addict, right? I went to rehab 3 times and spent a considerable amount of time there and in support groups. So you would hear taking responsibility for your recovery all the time, but it's different here. It's different with grief. It's almost like those two things didn't like connect for me. And when the penny dropped and I realized, my goodness, like I actually need to take responsibility for all of this, and that I have a choice and how I respond to the things that happen to me. Now, we will always say, I know that when there's been healing and the way that certainly that I speak, it can sound flippant or not taking into consideration that everybody grieves differently. And so I don't want to say, well, you just need to take responsibility for for your own recovery and just get over it and live forward. Like that's not what we're saying, right?
Yeah, exactly.
It's such a liberating experience to recognize that even if it takes 10 years, I can take responsibility for my recovery and I can do the next right thing. I don't have to change the world. I don't have to pretend like everything's okay. I don't have to feel like I'm behind in my recovery, as long as I'm taking some sort of responsibility and taking small, daily, sometimes not even daily, just small actions towards my recovery. It's empowering and liberating.
Yeah, and it's a mind shift, isn't it? A mindset shift from I am hopeless and helpless to I might feel hopeless and helpless. That doesn't mean I'm hopeless and helpless.
Yes.
It means how I feel. There's 5 key concepts that we talk about at Spark. There's probably 20 key concepts, right? But these 5 key concepts that we begin with are so powerful. And of course, we could spend a whole hour on each of these concepts. So we're going to take them one at a time here as we have this introduction, but it kind of flows from what you just said. I've got to have hope to get up in the morning. I've got to have some light in the darkness. And for a while, there's no light. There's just no light. And some of you right now who are listening or watching this, you probably think there's no light and you feel hopeless because you've been in this darkness. You don't see a way out. And that's one reason I love you, Ren, because 100 reasons, but you were there in that darkness, and the people around us that we've worked with. We just finished our 140th grief retreat, 3.5-day grief retreat last week, 2 weeks ago in Tulsa, Oklahoma. And it was a great, great retreat. And we had the Ren Besters there, right? We had so many stories, but we saw the people made a decision to come to a retreat. They made a conscious decision to register to come. We cannot underestimate the value of that because when you're wallowing in your darkness and whether it's everything you described about your addiction is loss, right? Loss of your dignity, loss of your respect, loss of hope, all the losses, loss of your marriage, loss of relationship, maybe with your kids and things that happen, that associate with that. We could outline 10 losses just from what we just said. And, and you are an example that one little step is all that it takes to start the journey upwards. One step. And it's one step at a time. It's trite, but it's true. And so this first key concept that we always start with is grief is, we've got to normalize grief. We've got to normalize my despair. And if I don't normalize it, I think I can play a victim. Is the victim mentality part of your story? Did you ever feel like you're the victim?
I suppose the concept applies both to something like addiction and to grief recovery or trauma recovery.
Yep.
But when you stay in a victim mentality, you give yourself license to stay there. It justifies not growing, not getting up, not being there for the rest of your family, even though you're mourning this thing, not taking responsibility for the things that need to get done. And not, as long as I'm a victim to things that have happened to me, well, I don't have to change. I don't have to do anything. And I just want to say about what you said earlier, it's so powerful about just taking the first step. I think it's so important for people to realize that you will never feel like taking the first step.
Yeah.
You will, if you wait to feel like, okay, today is the day that I'm going to today I will register for the Spark retreat. Today I will get up and wash my face. It's never going to happen. It's just not. We are designed to protect ourselves and to avoid pain and stay in that place. It's just the way we're wired. And so it really takes a conscious effort to, without faith, without thinking it's going to work, without feeling like you want to do it, just register. Just do the course. Just book the coaching. Just get out of bed. Just wash your face. Just take 2 steps forward today, in spite of the way that you feel, is so important. And I promise you, not because it's something I've read or I'm trying to manipulate people, because I know I've experienced it. The feelings will follow. Eventually, the feelings will follow. But you do the thing before you feel the feeling, right?
Absolutely. It's called the cognitive triangle. I don't, the cognitive triangle is thinking, actions, and feelings, but thinking is at the top. If you wait till you feel like it, you'll never do it. Right? Because it's, and grief has so many different facets of grief. And it just goes in so many different directions, but it all is the same direction of living in this world with pain, with loss, with people who let me down, with me letting other people down. And so I call it spit. So I don't say the other word, right? I call it spit. Yeah. As you know, I call it spit. So my spit happens. My wife, Debbie's spit happens. My kid's spit happens. My friend's spit happens. My enemy's spit happens. Life spit happens. It's just spit, and it all happens. And then when I'm in the throes of the pit of grief, whether I'm in like a substance addiction or whatever, I will not feel like getting out of that pit and doing the effort, because I'm just crushed in spirit. And that's why we've got to give ourselves permission to go there, but also permission, I always say this in the same breath, to get up and do one thing. And that probably the purpose of us doing this podcast video, whatever you call it, is to encourage and to empower our listeners, our viewers, to do the next right thing you need to do, to not quit. And those feelings, those emotions will follow. We tell people who come to our retreats, for example, when they get there on Thursday and we do our introductions, we say, all of you are living forward more than you think you are. And the reason they're living forward, now, it would be nice to believe it, that you're doing something positive. But the reason they're living forward is they've made conscious decisions to do something about their situation. Even if their spouse made them come, which, by the way, happens sometimes. The spouse makes them come in a good way, like you will come, or whatever. And even if you're there because you feel obligated to be there for your spouse or for your kids, maybe, you've still done something. And it's a mind shift, and it's part of this get out of the victim mentality. That's not minimizing your pain or being blind to it. We're not talking about not admitting your pain and what's happened to you and the losses you've experienced. I talked to somebody not long ago who lost both their kids, right, in a couple of different accidents over a period of just a few weeks. Well, that person might say, "Well, I'm minimizing your pain." No, not at all. Your loss is your loss. Your losses are your losses, and you need to give yourself permission to grieve deeply. But we don't want to go into the victim role. And so, and the victim mentality sometimes is very normal, right?
Yeah.
It doesn't mean you're a bad person. It means you're hurting like crazy. And so you feel victimized. And so, no, we're not minimizing that. But what we want to do is empower and equip you to get up, as you said, wash your face, do the next right thing, whatever it is, register for a course or somebody else's course. I don't care what you do, just do something. Yeah. And so this first key concept is to realize that what you're feeling is natural and normal. And when somebody I can think of so many people who sat in my office and they outlined their problems, and it's like, good night, I feel hopeless for them for a while.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
How in the world can they ever get out of this deep, dark dungeon of despair? That's alliteration. I like that. Deep, dark dungeon of despair.
Very good.
Yeah, that's good. Thank you very much. I need to write that down. If I think I am the only one going through this, or nobody could be as bad as me, it's just like you screwed up a lot with your marriage. You made that very public. You could easily and probably did feel like there's nobody worse than Ren. You felt like that or thought that.
Oh, yeah.
Which leads to hopelessness. It leads to that. And go ahead.
It's absolutely how you feel. And it's amazing how that kind of, all kinds of grief will, for all kinds of reasons, will isolate us.
Isolate.
I'm not as bad as this person, or I'm worse. My grief is worse. I don't deserve, fill in the blank. Or society says, put your big boy pants on, man. Like, get over it and move on. Suck it up, buttercup, and all that kind of thing. And so we feel like we don't have the right to feel what we're feeling and grieve the way we're grieving. I just want to encourage folks with, we're talking about doing the next right thing, right? And just get up, but just wash your face. But I know that sometimes, like, someone listening to this might want to punch us both in the face.
That's why they have to hear the previous things we said, right?
Yeah. I cannot even get out of bed. You want me to get up and wash my face? Like, you have no idea what I'm going through. And we want to acknowledge, no, we don't have any idea what you're going through. And this is what I love about my wife's journey. When she was grieving the loss of our marriage, or what seemed to be the loss of our marriage, she was in bed for a month.
1 month.
She could not get herself out of the bed. And the first decision she made was not to get out of bed. It was to go onto YouTube and go, can one person save a marriage? Let me just see if I can find a video that will make me want to actually just get out of bed.
Wow.
That was the first decision. The second decision was, just so that I can feel like I'm doing something significant, is I'm just going to drink 2 glasses of water a day. That's all I have the capacity for.
That's what
I just want to say that
she did that.
That's what she did for 1 month. After the month that she spent in bed, her only purpose in life was to get up and drink 2 glasses of water a day. All she did. And then she did something else after a month. And then she did something else. There's living forward, and there's hope, and there's all these things. But we get the fact that you might be in a place where you're like, I can't even lift. I can't even open my eyes right now. And you're wanting me to get out of bed.
Yeah.
And that's YouTube is their hope.
YouTube. Yeah. She did YouTube. She got 2 glasses of water a day, and the rest is history. And it's a slow journey, but what one right decision makes, like, okay, I'm going to get out of bed and or watch a video or search, uh, gives us that momentum. Oh, wait, I feel out of 0 to 100, I'm a -5 in the hope level. Doing that one thing after a month in bed can get me up to a -4 instead of -5, which
Yeah.
it gives me momentum. It gives me momentum because, hey, I will not always be totally helpless and hopeless. And so it is a small journey. And it goes under this first key concept is normalize, normalize, normalize grief. And I everybody that we deal with, almost everybody, has come to the point that they think something is wrong with them. Especially, it's not just in the Christian world or in some religious world, but if you're a God person, no matter how you've defined that, you might think if you had more faith, you wouldn't feel so bad. Okay, that's that thing we keep seeing in people over all these years working. Even though people that we work with come from many different backgrounds, probably the majority of them have some kind of Christian background, would be fair, because that's kind of our background. That is our background. So our contacts, even though we want everybody from any walk to come to us if they need help, and we're not going to push our stuff on anybody else. But the deal is with Christian people or with God people, often they think something's wrong with them, because good people sometimes who have a heart that wants to help their friend or their loved one get better, they will play the religion card sometimes and actually make it worse, because what the griever feels or thinks they hear, if I only had more faith, I wouldn't feel so bad for so long. And it is a devastating belief for those with faith. And that's why we do grief workshops, for example, for churches. We've probably done 100 grief workshops for churches. We've done 5 this year and just finished one about 3 weeks ago in Washington State, and which was neat to go up there, especially when it's hot down here. It was not hot up there. It was in the 70s as a high, but we dealt with that subject with many people. If they just had more faith, they wouldn't feel so bad. But great faith people have great grief, and it's all through Scripture. And so this normalization of grief and of feelings of hopelessness or helplessness, the more we normalize it, the more we're empowered to do something about it, if that makes sense.
Yes, it makes absolute sense, because to your point earlier, this kind of grief can make you feel isolated. Like I'm the only one.
Yeah.
I'm the only one. And then there's the shame, right? The shame that comes along with, wait a minute, I'm a Christian. I shouldn't be feeling like this if I had enough faith.
Yeah.
And so let me just retreat into my corner, and then I can't normalize it. This is what I love about confession and speaking about the things that we struggle with, that we don't have to be perfect. That just because we follow Jesus does not mean we're perfect. That means we need Jesus.
That means we're not perfect. We realize we're not perfect.
Exactly. And just to say, man, like I'm struggling with this thing. And the incredible thing is, when you have the courage to speak up about the things that you're struggling with, 9.9 times out of 10, people around you will go, oh my goodness, me too. I thought I was the only one.
Yeah. Well, Debbie and I do grief workshops and retreats, and also do marriage workshops through Marriage Helper. And I know you know that. And we've been doing that for 20 years. And it's so connected to grief because, and you experience this. And when your marriage is shattered, that means your dreams are shattered. That means your expectations so you've lost your dreams, you've lost your expectations, because you're going to live life together with that person. And then those dreams are gone. That's a huge grief loss. And what we hear in the marriage workshops, and they're Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, marriagehelper.com for those who are struggling in their marriage, and you want the greatest resource in the world for helping your marriage when it looks hopeless, or even strengthening your marriage. But what we hear all the time is on Sunday afternoon when we finish the marriage workshops with Marriage Helper, we always ask, what did you gain from being here this weekend? Here's the number one thing we hear, and we hear many different things that are great, but we hear this all the time: is we found out we're not alone. We're not alone. We thought, because we had one 2 weeks ago. We finished a workshop here in Nashville, a marriage workshop. We had a couple actually said this in the wrap up on Sunday. They said, we thought we're the only ones because all our friends have such a great marriage. Okay, listen to that. And then somebody else in the group said, well, that's what I used to think, but after this weekend, I'm not real sure that all our friends have great marriages. They all look great from the outside. But you and I know this. There's not a marriage at all out there that everything's smooth sailing, right? And I don't know when the honeymoon ended for y'all, but I mean, for us, it was like 3 days.
Yeah.
Wait a minute. This person's not perfect. Wait a minute. I'm not perfect. Wait a minute. David has bad breath in the morning, right? Or whatever.
Yeah.
So every marriage is screwed up in some form or fashion because we're human beings. Now, some have more stuff than others. There's no doubt about that. But the point is, you're not alone. And that's why I love this, starting off the first key concept: normalize. What you're going through does not minimize the pain. We're not trying to say don't feel bad. We're trying to say chalk it up in the normal category. There's not something wrong with you for feeling the way you feel. And that goes into this next kind of section of key concept is what defining grief in a way that normalizes it, that people are empowered by the definition of grief that, hey, wait a minute, I'm not that screwed up. I know I'm messed up, but I am not beyond hope. Even if I feel it for quite a while. And, we've had people say they sucked their thumb for 6 months. They sucked their thumb for a year. There's no exact time frame on it. And that's one thing I love about normalizing grief. And when you look at this, have you ever heard of Viktor Frankl?
Yes, sir. I've read the book.
You read the book. I've started to read it again because we've flown so much lately and all airplanes, you get on the airplane and they all leave on time, right? Yeah. Right. Okay. So I've had plenty of time. So I'm reading Viktor Frankl's Man's Search for Meaning yet again. Haven't read it in quite a while. And Viktor Frankl, who spent time at Auschwitz, during the war, and I know his wife died, and he survived somehow Auschwitz, and he talks about camp life, and of course, a main theme in that is hope. Those people who gave up hope got sicker. Those people who gave up hope usually died. Sometimes it's the matter of luck whether you lived or died, but a lot of it was giving up hope, and then you get sicker, and then the guards just kill you, right? Things like that. And his quote, I got this quote here. Grief is a normal response. Okay, here's what he said. An abnormal reaction to an abnormal situation is normal behavior.
Yeah. So
an
good.
abnormal reaction to an abnormal situation. So if you don't know somebody's situation and they have a reaction that is abnormal, we tend to judge them. There's so many lessons from that quote. We tend to look down on them. If it's me having that abnormal reaction, the way I not normally act, like we could say anger with God, for example, or yelling at God, or saying I hate church, or I hate God. We've had people say they've hated God, and previously they loved God. So all these apparently abnormal responses that we say, well, that's not good. If you put in the context of their abnormal situation, they lost their spouse of 30 years, or they lost their kid to cancer or to suicide, right? And you go on with any loss, and or their spouse loved somebody else and left you, et cetera, then that's an abnormal situation. So your abnormal response to it is actually normal. I love that quote from Frankl.
Yeah. Yeah, it's great. And this idea that we have to appear perfect and that we have to look like we have all our spit together.
Yeah.
And like I don't know where the heck that comes from. But again, it isolates us and
Yeah.
it makes us live in somehow guilt for feeling what we're feeling and
Yeah.
for wanting to act in the way that we're acting. And there's freedom when you
Yeah.
normalize grief and know that you're allowed. We're supposed to grieve. We're
Yeah.
supposed to. Jesus did it. Like
You're kidding.
he did it.
Yes, he did.
What? Yeah. Why would
Yeah.
we think we're any better than the creator of the universe if he did it, you know? But it's this. I mean, and we can go really deep with that, you know, and need to be accepted, and you know, not wanting to look weird and all those kinds of things. And
Yeah.
but I love the fact that this Viktor Frankl quote is amazing. It's liberating. You are allowed to feel what you're feeling,
Yeah.
go through what you're going through.
And the Jesus thing, one of my favorite passages is Mark 14, when Jesus is facing the cross. And it's something, it's amazing because in John 12, he says, what shall I say, Father, save me from this hour. And he had just talked, and we just saw The Chosen, I think it's season 5, but they were, this was the scene in the movie about if a seed doesn't fall to the ground and dies, it remains only a single seed. But if it dies, it produces fruit, right? And so Jesus is saying this in John 12. And he goes on to say, what shall I say? Father, save me from this hour. No, it's for this hour I came. I came to die. So he is resolute to go to Jerusalem and to die on that cross because it was in the plan, and that is why he came. And then Mark 14 comes a little while after John 12, and Jesus takes those 3 guys, Peter, James, and John, with him a little further into the garden, and he says, "Keep watch while I pray." And I love what he says. My soul is overwhelmed with sorrow to the point of death. This is called deep grief. Jesus, the Son of God, is overwhelmed. And he goes and prays. And when he prays, and most people who have some kind of Christian background are familiar with this, Father, if it be possible, what?
This cup pass
Take this cup
from me.
from me. Let there be another way. And isn't it amazing? In John 12, he's not thinking that. He's thinking there is no other way. They had it in their to-do list from before the creation of the world that he's going to die.
Yeah. Yeah.
His mind knew what he had to do. So why the hesitation in Mark 14? I put in my book, I love that Jesus hesitated in Mark 14 in the prayer. He hesitated. I know that if some theologian heard that or read it, they'd probably rip me apart that he hesitated. Well, I'm sorry, I don't know as much as some theologians, but I know this. Jesus hesitated. Why? Because of sin? No, he had no sin. He was God in the flesh. He hesitated because he's about to experience a darkness he had never experienced before, a darkness so dark that he became sin. And he had never been separated from his Father. You know, he had basically gone to college for 33 years, right? He left home and came to college, but he called home often. And he is in this state in the garden. Father, if there's another way, maybe we hadn't thought through it. Now, of course they had thought through it. But he's in the human body, and in John 12, he spoke what his mind knew, what his brain knew. I have to die. In Mark 14, he prayed what his heart feared. It was this broken heart of being ripped apart, of becoming the sin sacrifice. He had never experienced sin. So he hesitated, but nevertheless, he said, not my will, but yours. We love that statement. We need to see how normal it is to fear the darkness. And it's normal and natural. If the Son of God, if the Son of God, if he wept in John 11 at the graveside when he saw the grief of Mary and Martha and their friends and family, if he grieved, and in Mark 14, if he pours out his heart and he's overwhelmed with sorrow to the point of death, he's grieving, then when you feel darkness, when you feel overwhelmed, when you can't, when Adele couldn't get out of bed for a month, and if you're watching this, if you feel that, if you feel that aloneness and that you cannot imagine ever being in the light again and having hope, join the great company of Jesus. That's where he was. And I hope that gives you hope. I hope that gives us all hope that it's okay to be where you are, even though it sucks and it stinks and you desperately want to get out of it. And I just love that look at grief from the viewpoint of God and grief.
Yeah. And isn't it interesting that you can know the right thing, but feel something very different?
Yeah. Yeah.
Jesus knowing that this is why I came. I came
Yeah.
to die.
Yeah.
In spite of all the knowledge and all the 100% God, 100%, in spite of all of that, all of the knowledge and the wisdom, and his heart is overwhelmed with sorrow.
It's just great. Look at this quote by Earl Groman. Have you heard of Earl Groman? You've heard of him? Maybe from me.
I have not.
Okay. He was a Jewish rabbi, and he did a lot of work on grief. And in the 1989 or 93, whenever the Oklahoma City bombing of the federal building there, or the state building, that bombing in Oklahoma City, he was called in to do counsel and to be there to comfort people. Well-known man in the grief world. He said, grief is not a disorder. It is not a disease. It is not a sign of weakness. It is an emotional, physical, and spiritual necessity. Wow. It's a necessity. It is the price you pay for love. The only cure for grief is to grieve. There's the answer.
Wow.
If I can reframe, which we all love reframing, if I can reframe my feelings of despair, just a little turn of, I got to go through this. It is the price you pay for love. And I will add in my thoughts here, if the reason I'm in grief is because of love, and it could be because of my screw up, like you screwed up, right? It could be because of that,
yeah.
But that's all connected to love. It's all connected. Grief is always connected to love. And I say this often when Debbie and I experienced our major losses, which it's not really about our losses, but when we experienced that, Ren, you didn't grieve with us. You didn't know us. Now, we're experiencing something right now in our family, and you know about it, and so you love us, so you share in our grief. So the closer you are to somebody, the more you share in their grief. You don't quite get it totally, but you're there because you love. So it's always associated with love. So if I can reframe my feelings of hopelessness and helplessness, I'm in this darkness and I can't see a way out, maybe a little thing saying, wait a minute, my grief is because of love. So if that is the case, and it is the case, the only way to climb out of that is also through love. What do you think of that?
It's such a tough double-sided coin.
It is.
Right? The idea that I run the risk of grief, and it's likely that I'm going to grieve because I love.
Yeah.
However, here's what I will say. Let me preclude what I was about to say with this. Sometimes people will say things like everything happens for a reason. Things like God will not give you more than you can handle.
Yep.
And claim that to be a Christian principle, and that's absolute rubbish. If there was a thing I could beep out here, it's just such spit, right?
Yeah.
Such rubbish. Because and they've taken a scripture that we will not be tempted more than we can handle, and we'll be given a way out, and change that to say God will not give us more than we can handle. And then we experience a loss of a husband or a wife or a child, and we're like, who the heck does God think I am?
Right.
I'm supposed to be able
Right.
to handle this. But here's what I will say. There are two scriptures that have revolutionized my life and the way that I look at difficult situations. The one is that Jesus promised that life will be difficult. In this world, you will have trouble. But do not fear, I have overcome the world.
Mm-hmm.
And the other one is, and again, I say this with great sensitivity. Count it all joy when you go through all kinds of trials, because your suffering produces perseverance, character, hope, and hope never disappoints.
Yes.
And so, although we're not always in that space, and I realize that if you're in a space where you agree and you don't understand and you're angry at God, you're like, I don't want to hear that scripture. Like, don't tell me that. I'm like I feel like standing on the Bible and especially those scriptures, you know. But to understand that there can be purpose. Was this God's plan for you to go through this? No. Can he turn it around?
It might be somebody really stupid and sinful that hurt you, or your kid. Yeah. So God didn't plan that, but it is God's plan for us to trust that even though
can he turn it around,
and he can turn it around, and
he promises that that all things can work together for good for those who love him and are called him. Yes, he finds a way.
Yeah,
he finds a way. So.
And we'll have more to say about those two big myths of God will not give you more than you can handle, and the myth that everything happens for a reason. But most of the Christian world, probably a lot of people believe in that. I mean, hold on to that. And there's a lot of truth in that. But the truth is, God doesn't always give us the things we're experiencing, because the prince of this world is Satan. And, God, Jesus, boy, he said, if you hurt one of these little kids, right, what did he say to that? It'd be better for you to be drowned in the depths of the sea. Jesus doesn't want any kid hurt. He didn't plan it, but we do live in this fallen world. He realized we had trouble, and God's answer to all the injustice that many of you have been through, from sexual abuse as a child to you name it, to an innocent child dying of cancer or whatever, you're living it, and just want you to know God grieves with you, and God didn't necessarily give you that, and we can't get into it today, but I just want you to know that this is all designed to give you hope that what you're going through is normal and natural, and to give yourself permission to feel all that you feel. And don't let anybody tell you you shouldn't feel this way. We never choose our emotions. We never choose them. And I often use, if the bomb goes off out here and it rattles our building and I hear a supersonic boom outside my window, I will probably have an emotion of fear. I will not think about it. Should I have the emotion or not? What I will do when I experience the emotion is, then I will decide, what do I do with that emotion? Do I go under the desk? Do I go down and get my child or my wife? Do I go to a bomb shelter? Do I, if the tornadoes, I'm going to have the emotion. I choose what to do with the emotion. So never let anybody tell you shouldn't feel this way.
Yeah.
Yeah. And no, you have every right to feel this way. And that's why I love the scripture of Jesus saying, I'm overwhelmed. That gives me the right to feel overwhelmed and not question my faith, even though it's normal to question your faith. I mean, I've questioned my faith 1,000 times, but I love the passage in Isaiah when it says God is familiar with grief. We have grief because we're creating the image of God, and God has grief. God grieved that he made us. Y'all remember that? Genesis 6?
Yeah.
He grieved that he made human beings. And my response when I first read this and started studying it years ago was, Well, you're the one that decided to create us, right? God, you decided it. Now you say you made a mistake. Well, no, God doesn't make mistakes. It wasn't a mistake, but God has emotion. And how many times, if your kids drove you crazy, say, why didn't we stop with the first one? Right. Okay. So we get irritated with our kids and we make statements, but we have emotions. We get our emotions from God the Father. We're made in his image. And I want, you know, again, this is under the big point today about normalize where you are so that you don't give up. Normalize where you are. It's okay to be where you are. It sucks and it's terrible, but you're in good company. You really are. And we're sorry for your pain. We're just sorry for your loss. So, hey, we need to wrap this up, man. You got anything you want to say?
What I'm so grateful for, Dave, is the work that Spark of Life does. I'm grateful for the way that you normalize grief in our lives, that we're not, you know, you don't come onto a podcast like this and speak about things that A, you haven't experienced, and B, that other people haven't experienced. We're not reading out of a book and hoping that it that it works. We've
There's no neat
experienced
plan,
things.
is there? There's
Yeah,
no,
exactly.
just the neat.
Exactly. And I'm so grateful for this organization and for you and Debbie for giving your lives to this and how it's impacted lives all across the world. Here we are in South Africa and we get to live what you did, and the obedience that you've shown has played a part in us being able to do what we do. And it's so significant. I want to thank you for that. And I just want to encourage folks again. And listen, man, like everyone's got to eat, right? But that's not like, I want you to know that if you are doubting or hesitating, stop doubting or hesitating. We're going to put links to how to get to a retreat, how to get to the grief course, how to get grief coaching at the bottom of this video. Scroll below, click on the link and connect with us. There is 100% hope for you to live forward. Yes, with your pain, we don't ever get over things, but there is hope. And there is a beautiful future for you. Yeah. You who are watching this video, not because we think it's the right thing to say, but because we have experienced it in our lives. And Dave and Debbie have experienced it in thousands of grievers of lives. So I thank you for what you do, Dave.
Thank you too. Thank you, buddy. Thanks for those kind words. And we're so blessed at Spark to have a team of people that care, and every one of them are real. Every person that works at Spark and who lead our retreats, who do our coaching, they just have a heart to help people because they've been there. They've been there. None of us claim we have all the answers. Please don't think we ever think we have all the answers. This is a tough subject. It's a tough thing to go through, but there's always hope. We've seen that there's always hope, no matter what. So we'll see. We're going to do this once a week, right? We're going to have this out once a week. That's right. And
absolutely.
And tell your friends about it. Tell people who are really hurting out there that you know that might need a word of encouragement. This is going to be overall positive. This whole whatever we call this podcast, whatever we call this whole experience that we're doing, it's not gloom and doom. But we want to be real with where you are in your pain. So you guys, we'll see you next week for another podcast here at Spark of Life.
Absolutely.
There's always hope. Go ahead.
There's always hope. I just want to say, hit the subscribe button, hit the notification bell so you know when we release a video. And we believe in you. And yes, Spark of Life. There's always hope.
And get on our mailing list. That's what, man, we'd love for you to subscribe to our newsletter. Go to sparkoflife.org, if you will, and you'll see all the offerings there. Hey, we love you, and we'll see you next time.